Sun is shining, the weather is make you wanna move.
So that's good.
We're dancing to the rescue.
I'm gonna take it in, okay? Nah, I'm gonna be good, man. Nah, bro, sorry. Not my bathroom, man. That's not cool.
Yeah, I love the rainbow, yeah. Want you to know I'm a rainbow.
So that right there is a demonstration in the power of the light. It attracts the dark. That was real. Wasn't trying to make it happen. But it's also a law of physics. So just had to act quick. I was pressing my luck. Sometimes you gotta get it close. So that's the balance of the force, a whole bunch of things right there. And you know, I definitely learn from Jameson, watching him go through stuff like that, you know, like with his Zoinked video where he, you know, really brought the light, and then there's like a moment, like the darkness sort of revealed itself. And so kind of like, you know, so I learned some situations like that from that, so I could get through that right there. Because honestly, when you just start like blasting the light, if you blast in the dark, you know, darkness is attracted to light. So that's a universal principle. So if you're going up, you're glowing up. If you're glowing up, yeah, you gotta attract some dark elements. Just the way it goes. So, but that light transmission went out, man. That's fucking so good. You know, whatever. And that's just who I am. Like, I'll just like pop off some light and yeah, just in the flow. Just like see a baseball player hit like the perfect home run or something at the right moment. Every once in a while you can just get that lightning strike and it hooks up the whole area. So yeah, you know, so the JOHNiVERSE is real. Like I made the JOHNiVERSE. And, yeah. You know, and the point of it is every conscious human has their own universe. You just have to become aware of it and step into it and create it as real. And but yeah, you have to go through an enlightening process. It says to get universal, to get your universe, you have to learn universal principles. You know? And definitely one of the things is you have to be ethical to do it, to be able to get higher into the light. The ethics are what cleans out your vibes and makes you work on your issues just so you can vibrate higher. It's like complete health evolutionary mechanism. And it's just really tough to own your shit. You know, but when you do, or when I do, when I acknowledge and then face it, then the vibe can go higher, and then your reality can get better. You can access not just great material realms, but like material realms infused with like great ethics and purity of essence. And then yeah, but you have and to do universal, which means you have to get rid of all the lower level ideologies, whatever it's like the racism, the ideologies, the non-ecumenical nature of reality, all that stuff. Like you gotta start to really let it go until it gets almost like video game like. And then I understand people get confused because they go, oh, you know, the reality's starting to seem like maybe it's a simulation, which is possible that it is, but also anytime you go into like the quantum realm or you start getting into avatar, multi-dimensional ascension for the first time, it gets very existential, and then it can get very video gamey because it's where you start to access your spiritual level of understanding of the reality. So, but if you keep going through it, then it'll come back into the reality itself. And you'll be like, okay, it can be confusing for it being a simulation. Because it is a simulation in terms of being sort of the fabric of reality of like the mind of God. where all the different celestial bodies are sort of neurons in the brain of the universe. Of like, if the stars are just the neural conscious pathways of the mind of the universe itself, which would be, you know, that's why we're living out in the mind of God. If you look at it that way, we're just information bits having these experiences in it. You know, which would make sense with the positive open source strategy and continual propagation of light, the basic structure of the universe seems to be. That way, if you Fibonacci sequence those out in a gross sequence of networking, then the universe, that's how it can be unstoppable to infinitely positively propagate itself. You know, and over time, darkness would just like fall off of it. But the main, if it had a self-improving algorithm where the evolutions of the universe and that consciousness way got better by leaving the dark behind, with the vibration and the frequencies just continuing going up, sort of anything below those frequencies that just sort of fall off. It's like a factor of resonation, which is what appears to be happening. You know, the universe would be not only self-propagating but self-healing, and eventually into sort of a light singularity. And then who knows where it goes from there? But that seems to be the trend. And so, existentially speaking, you know, that should be, you know, positive. It's positive theory. So yeah. So once you get a handle on that, it's a few other things. But then you start getting universal. Lots of people are universal. You know, and then you can, you know, once you own that, then you can sort of, by your vibe, know what entities that are sort of in this realm that are not universal, and they definitely don't have that view of things. In fact, they're trying to do the opposite. They're just trying to sort of wrangle everybody up in a one dimension of reality. I mean, that's, you know, those are the true fascists. They just want a one reality. Oh, and guess who's always in control of that one reality? Fucking those guys. Like, oh, isn't that convenient? Like, that's how you spot a fascist. Like, they're telling you they're not trying to control reality, but like, at the end of the day, there's only one reality allowed in the space, and it's just whatever it happens to be, whatever that guy's saying. And it's BS, dude. Take some mushrooms. That's always BS. When you forget that that's BS is when you know there's like too many fascists in control, right? It's like a cultural check. That's Star Trek level. You can put that on a tricorder and be like, oh, dude, what's the, you know, the certain astral wave frequency of that planet, the mean astral frequency? And they're like, oh, sir, it's this. You're like, oh, well, then obviously somebody's like tampering with the light quotient, which means there's a bunch of unethical shit going on wherever that is. So it's just like, you can just program it in basically like your UFO dashboard, and, you know, Star Trek, I'm sure that's somewhere written in the Roddenberry universe. It's gotta be. That's how you navigate to go. Although they're not star savers. They just like, actually they're supposed to be more neutral. So much more Swiss. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Right? And that's one of the good things about smoking weed. You just have these high-ass thoughts. So, weed. Fucking stoner stuff, man. See? Cali weed. Like, it doesn't matter if you agree with anything I just said. It really doesn't, because it's stoner talk, and that's the point. That's one of, like, the great points about smoking weed. Is you can just say outlandish shit. Just see where your mind goes.